Can a woman love the same way a man loves? Should a woman love the same way a man loves? Should a man love the same way a woman loves? Should. You can should all over yourself, right? Could a woman love the way a man loves? I'm not sure. And why would you want her to? We men sometimes think that we want a woman to love us like our mama loved us. And no one is ever going to love you like your mother loved you, if you were fortunate enough to have a mother who loved you. I know many of us probably grew up feeling like we weren't loved. I know I did. But looking back in retrospect, I realized that I was. Some of you are younger than me, probably most of you. I grew up in a time where the men were extremely hard. My dad never hugged me, never kissed me on the cheek, never told me he loved me until I was about 30-some years old after I told him. But that's just the way it was back then. Oh, and then of course some of you would say, you young people, oh, well, you were traumatized, you were this, you were that. What's that other word? Trauma. Yeah, I guess that's the one. Abused. Well, if I were abused, at least it made me tough enough today to handle the rigors of life and not cringe up in a little ball every time someone says something to me that offends me. It seems like today we have a bunch of men that are snowflakes, and if you're one of those, I know you don't want to be or you wouldn't be here. What I say would offend you. So that's okay. I was a snowflake at one time when I was young, or I felt like I was. I was afraid to fight. I was afraid to stand up for myself. Everything bothered me. I was offended easily. But back then, nobody really gave a shit. Who cared? My dad would tell me, go pick up a big stick and hit him upside the head. That was about how much protection I got from my dad. Although if the shit really went down, he looked out for me. But things like that, he didn't pay any attention to that. My parents never went up to the school and complained about anything, nor did the school ever call me. I have kids in school, they call me all the time about trivial shit that doesn't amount to anything. I remember one time, how old was he then? My youngest son, Kevin, was probably 6 or 7. And he was in the lunchroom, and they had a hot dog in there, and he told one of the other kids that, oh, this is how big your, he might have said dick, penis, I'm not sure what he said, but you get the picture. He said, this is how big your penis is. Like I said, I don't know what word he used. Oh my God, you'd have thought somebody stabbed somebody. They called me up and all told me what happened, and I just laughed, and I said, I'm really sorry that you had to make such a big deal out of this. Kids do things like that. That's what kids do. I mean, I did. We make jokes about each other. Kids bully and pick on each other. I was picked on, bullied, whatever you want to call it. It's just the way it is. I mean, they put him in like some kind of counseling for a couple days. Back when I was a kid, they would have probably just told you, shut up, sit down. Moved you to the other lunch table or something. They make such a big deal out of everything nowadays. Everything is such a big deal. And I suppose it's because we don't have anything going on. So it's like people look for adversity. They create mountains out of molehills because we don't have any mountains. When I was growing up, we had the Vietnam War. That was mountain enough. And then we had people here protesting because they were against the war, which I see why they were. And then when my dad was young, they had World War II. Before he was born, they had World War I, which my grandpa was in. And now what do you guys got? You grew up with parents who've never been involved in any kind of adversity or war or anything, which is good, but what happens is it makes for soft parents. Weak parents make weak children. And everything becomes a big deal because as humans, we need adversaries. And if we don't have adversaries or challenges in our life, we create challenges out of thin air. I look at all the things people are protesting and making. They talk about racism now, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but you should have grown up in the 60s. There was some real racism then. I mean, in the 70s even still, the blacks and I were fighting each other. And now I'm friends with those guys. We laugh about that now. But it was tough back then. They were prejudiced and I was prejudiced. My dad was very prejudiced. It's just the way it was. It was tough. I got beat up by a couple black guys a couple times, and I got in a fight with them several times. Like I said, I talk to all them guys now, and we laugh about that crap. It was just the way it was. I don't think anybody holds anything against anybody now. But it's just amazing how now we got these, they're talking like, if you don't agree with a certain gender pronoun, that you're a racist. I mean, I grew up with people calling me names and all different kinds of things because I was what they called a hippie, and I was different. And now it's, well, so what? I didn't see anybody making news stories about it or making it out like it was a big deal. It was just part of life. Sure, we want to strive toward perfection, but life isn't fair. It's never going to be fair. So, and sometimes that's great. If life were fair, I may have had a lot more problems than I did. Okay? It's a good thing sometimes. If you look back on your life, what if it were fair, and sometimes when you mistreated someone, that came back to you immediately through the legal system, let's say. Life does reward you for the things you do, or you suffer the consequences for the things you do. Life is fair, but it just takes a long time for it to come back around and level things out. And that's what people don't realize. They think because someone doesn't get caught by the legal system, or maybe some woman takes a man. This is something you guys complain about, and I've been through it. I've lost everything twice through marriages and the divorce and the court system. It's brutal. I don't advise any of you to get married. The marriage ends 50% divorce rate in the U.S., 70% initiated by the woman. And I really started off to make another video earlier about if a woman could love a man like a man loves a woman. I might have started this one off like that. And that's what it goes back to, is see, we have set up things in the U.S. for women and children to protect them, as men always have protected women and children. And the problem is this system we have set up, the men set up for women, for the protection of women and children and their care and provision, has turned against us men. What benefit is there for a man to marry nowadays? There's no benefit whatsoever. It's an unconscionable contract, as Rollo Tomasi likes to say, and I believe it's true. What benefit is there for you? I do believe that a marriage, a man and wife together, or a man and woman together, in a committed relationship is the best way to raise children, even if they don't get along that well. But the court system is so involved in your marriage now that it gives a woman so much power, and women are naturally more emotional and nurturing than men. So what happens is they get a little pissed off, things don't go their way, and then they get the girlfriends who are single, telling them, you can do better than that, you don't have to put up with that crap. And what she may be putting up with is him working every day and coming home and being tired because he's worked his ass off to take care of his wife and his kids. And she's bored. So her girlfriends are telling her, if you're not feeling it, honey, you should feel like you're in love. No, feeling has nothing to do with love. Committed. I know women now who grew up in the country who've been married for years. Do you think they felt like they were in love the whole time? And some of them are married to guys who drink quite a bit too. Do you think they felt like they were in love all the time? No. Do you think the men felt like they were in love all the time? And I've spoken about this before. Do you think I feel like I love my kids? I've raised them by myself for the last 12, 13 years. I was talking to one of them about that the other day because their mother has been gone completely for over 10 years, but she was only here maybe for a couple weeks at a time, off and on for the 3 years before that. You think I feel like getting up and yelling at them to get up every morning to go to school? I mean, because it gets to where I got to yell at them because after I tell them 2 or 3 times to get up and they don't get up, I got to threaten them to get them out of bed. You're going to take your phone away. Some of the other things I have to threaten them with. I've actually thrown a cup of water on them or something like that. Different things. But no, I'm angry. I want them to get up and go to school. I mean, this happens day after day after day. This is the way it is. So it's difficult. But what I'm talking about here is love. I love them, so I provide for them. I work. I do what I have to do so they can have food, clothes, shelter, and the necessities of life. I don't feel like it every day. I don't feel like making this video today. But I want to share something with you guys that will help you. Because you're going to find in life that you don't feel like doing a lot of things. As a man, you do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Now, does that mean there aren't times that I don't do something because I don't feel like it? Of course. But you do what needs to be done. Sometimes you just got to pick your ass up and push yourself and drag yourself up off the ground and make yourself do something. I get down sometimes. Saturday and Sunday I was a little down, which is unusual for me. I don't know why. Even though logically, as a man, I know that my life is great, everything is great, but for some reason I was feeling down. I'm okay today. I really don't know what the situation was, but that's the way it is. But I still did what needed to be done. I had a show to do at 12:30. I had another show to do in the afternoon. I did that. And I ran, I worked out, I did what needed to be done. Took care of the house, and I was busy all day like I always am. So what you have to remember is, women and men, I have some girls that watch this show, you're not always going to feel like you love your man. And men, you're not always going to feel like you love your woman. But that's where the real love begins. You take the action whether you feel like it or not. You don't always feel like taking a shower, but you do it. At least I hope you do anyway. If not, put some deodorant on. You don't always feel like brushing your teeth, but you do it because you want good teeth. Okay? You don't always feel like you love your man or your woman, but you do it. You take the actions of love because you want a good relationship. I think too many people think that it's just supposed to happen naturally. No, it's not going to happen naturally every day. You may naturally fall in love with someone, but to keep that love and to keep that relationship strong and functional takes a little effort. Like with all things, what you put into it is what you get out of it. So remember that. Don't go just by your feelings. Go by what you know is right and just do the next right thing. Thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. What else? December 3rd, this year, we have a show coming up with King Dre, Alpha Kingdom, and AV Alpha Villains. We're going to have some gold nuggets for you guys on game. You be sure to be here. You won't want to miss this one. I know I'm going to learn some things myself. No, I don't know it all. I'm still learning just like you guys. And thank you to my 1,628 subscribers. We are growing fast and we're going somewhere on this journey. And I am so glad you are with me. Take care.